Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And today I am going to be speaking to a legend in the UK magic community, somebody who has got an incredible story that I can't wait to delve into. Also, someone who's a fantastic performer. I've seen this person perform firsthand several times, probably got the best cups and balls I've ever seen, as well as many, many other things. And he is just brilliant. This is going to be an awesome interview. Sam, said the one and only Magic Sam. I don't know whether to call you Magic Sam. I don't know whether to call you Sam Hogarth. I don't know how to refer to you, mate, but I'm just so glad that you're on the channel.
Oh, thank you. I'm just gonna, no, it's a pleasure. I mean, we've been trying, and we've done it. You just said I've got the best cups and balls. I think that's polite. That's polite. It's not Charlie Capers cups and balls, is it? It's not very skillful cups and balls. It's cups and balls if you like chicken wings.
But you know what, dude? It's an entertaining cups and balls. And to be honest, that's the word that I think defines you, your act, just everything about you, entertaining. You make it fun. I've seen technically better cups and balls, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it as entertaining. And I've seen Gaza, I've seen some brilliant magicians perform the cups and balls, but you know, I've seen you do it to a room full of people, adults and kids, family audience, and just bring the house down and just blow everyone away.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's true. And I can't wait to find out more about you because we've known each other for a while. We've hung out, but I don't know your backstory as well as I should have. So I'm super excited to delve into it, to be perfectly honest. So let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about you and let's talk about, I want to start from the very beginning. So I know you're very passionate about like kids in magic and getting children involved in magic. And, you know, you've had people like Ryland and Jasper Cherry on shows that you've produced before. When did you get into magic? Was it as a kid? What's your origin story?
Right. There's a few. I've definitely liked magic forever. I can't remember the first live magician I saw. This is really weird. I can't remember the first live magician I saw, but I remember being at the party. But the first time I remember seeing magic, it's got to be like 4 or 5. I'm going to say it has to be Paul Daniels will be the first magic that I saw, but and Tricks and Tracks, which was like CBBC with Paul Zenham.
Yeah.
But the first magic I remember watching was The Secret Cabaret, or Shoot the White Rabbit. It was Shoot the White Rabbit.
Stuff the White Rabbit.
Stuff the White Rabbit. Stuff the White Rabbit.
John Lenihan and, you know, Noel Qualter, and there were some amazing names on that program, weren't there?
Yeah, so Dingy was on it. They had Amazing Jonathan guested on it, didn't he? And Tom Mollica guested on it. So this is, when was that? Like 89, 90, 91?
Yeah, it must have been early 90s, yeah.
They all sort of meld together because there was them Friday night. I had a TV in my room. So to me, it was really late at night, but maybe it was only actually like 9, 10 o'clock. I think Stuff the White Rabbit was on late. And Simon Drake's Secret Cabaret. So they all sort of meld together, not the shows. I remember the shows separately, but the time and Penn and Teller. And I remember watching Penn and Teller, like, I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was on the special. Teller having the milk, like that. That was one of the first tricks that I did. Was when I got little milk cartons.
Oh yeah, with the eye and the fork. I remember that.
Yeah, you get a fork and pop in a little little UHT milk carton, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And then there's another where Teller had the 3 of clubs in his eyes. And then there was a special, you know, where they produce live animals, so they produce flies in the tub, and the how did we do it with the truck and the weighted truck with the rubber wheels, and they were like, was it rubber wheels? And they had a little donut teller, and you know, they kept smashing it up, Penny and Penny smashing it up, and it turned out they had a weighted truck with a fake audience and fake wheels, and they did they based the whole show around how did we do this, and it was like a really good big stunt and a good vehicle for Penn to basically rant at them, to rant and be like, no, we did it all, it's all fake, the audience are all fake, everything's fake. But I remember that special. And then there was, yeah, that's one that I particularly remember, yeah, was that. And then Trapdoor, you know, Blast Off, Trapdoor. So
yeah, how old were you at this time?
About six or seven, I imagine.
Okay.
So I do. That's really when I fell in love with magic. And when I mean fell in love with magic, like as a kid, I was TV obsessed. Like that's all I ever wanted. I used to just love watching TV, watching different things. But I would stay awake till 4 a.m. if somewhere in those TV listings, I'd scour all the way through. I mean, it was a lot easier back then because there was 4 channels.
Yeah, that's it. There are only 4.
But I'd read it word for word, and if it said the word magic or magician, I'd watch it. You
Wow.
know, so, you know, like a Murder She Wrote or Columbo. That's one of the best episodes of Columbo. If it said magic or magician, I would be watching it. And lots of the times it'd be, you know, even if it was disappointing, even if it was the most boring adult program, if there was a magician in it, I wanted to see a magic trick.
Yeah.
So that's when I fell in love with magic. And then the sort of when I realized I could be a magician was actually when I was about 13 or 14. Now there's a funny little bit in between that where I was about 10 years old, and I'd gone to the library because I used to go to the library just to get normal books and every now and again get magic books. And there was a guy, and I never managed to confirm this, but I'm 99.999% sure. There was a guy sat in the library who would have been about 14 or 15. Yeah.
Okay.
And he showed me dynamic coins. And he wouldn't tell me how it was done. And he showed me it, he showed my friend Jamie it, and we watched it. He probably did it 3 or 4 times. And that's the first time I saw close-up magic. And that was real. That was real magic. And I was like, oh, it gets it, you know, it's not just on TV. Like there are people that can do the magic that I see on TV, but they're doing it here. And I'm what I was going to say is I'm 99.9% sure that was Mark Southworth. But I never asked him to check whether it was Mark Southworth from years back, who I then years later, you know, became friends with again, because let's say I was 10 there. Then I was on a summer camp. I'm telling you exactly how I got into magic here. On a summer camp, I used to do a summer camp that I really wanted to go on. I think when I was 12, and we had to, like, my family didn't have that much money. My family, we convinced, because I was so obsessed with going on this summer camp, we convinced the school to let me go on this summer camp. It was in Wales. It was called Columbus Fellowship. It's ended now. It was going for 50, 60 years. And I went on this summer camp, which is a big thing that changed how I am. It changed how I became an adult, like this summer camp. The good thing about the summer camp was it put the responsibility on you that normally you wouldn't get. Responsibility not to die in a field in Wales. But there was a guy on there, and one day, he was actually in my class at school. One day, we were playing a game where you catch an egg. You just have to throw the egg and catch an egg, and he did a French drop, and he threw it, but he didn't throw it, and I just stood there, and I was absolutely dumbstruck. I was like, fuck off, no. Because he did it, you know, he did his French drop, and then he just couldn't, and I was like, no. And I was like, you're my new best friend. Like, so, you know, so I think I was about 13 or 14 there, and that's when I learned a French drop. And that's where he then told me about JB Magic, which was Mark Mason's in Blackpool. So then I had to get permission from my mum, and then I was taking my week's earning from the paper round and getting more jobs to get the train to Blackpool as like 13-year-old. Thinking about it now, it wasn't very good parenting to let me walk through the back streets of Blackpool on my own at 13 to find a magic shop. But I'd go there I'd be there every weekend, and I'd be in there for hours, and I must have pissed them off. You know, because when I worked on Lee and Neil's stall in Covent Garden, and we had a few kids that used to come every day, and you know, you smile and you're putting up with the kids sometimes, but you at the same time you're not putting up, because you know what's going on in their head. They want to know everything. They want to know it. They want to know it. They can't afford to buy some stuff. They want to know. So you know, I think at JB they give me tests. They give you a test of like, right, I'm going to show you this, like a back palm. Come back next week and show me. You know, and you're passing these tests to get a little bit more knowledge from them and things like that. I spent money on crap. And there were very few tricks. I think Darren Robinson for years kept trying to convince me. I think Paul Roberts was working there as well. But Darren Robinson for years was trying to convince me to get an invisible deck, and I was like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I went with this one that they sold called Black X, which I liked. I don't know why. Maybe it was more, the plot was easier, or maybe the first time I saw Invisible Deck, I saw somebody do it, and I could tell that it wasn't single cards. Mm-hmm. But that's a different story, because Invisible Deck is one of the best tricks in the entire world, bar none. If you've got that in your pocket, you're safe. Doesn't matter what. And like, you know, you can be a quick, it's literally, you know, you want to shut somebody up, you can quickly do it. You want to amaze, or if you want, you know, so if you've got 10 minutes to fill, you can fill 10 minutes. It's up to you what you do with it, but it's going to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So ended up doing that. At school, see, I always sound like a knobhead saying this, because I'm quite fantastical about things or whatever. I like to believe in the dream. But yeah, academically, I was really good. And still got parts of it now that don't really make much sense, you know, well, they help. They help when I'm trying to work out how much money I can make from ticket sales and stuff, you know, like really quick, large number maths and things like that, and spelling and stuff, which you wouldn't think if you ever read my Facebook post, but that's because I want to put my thought down. So I slapped the keyboard and I'm like, that's what I thought. I don't care. I don't care about the grammar or spelling. Anyway, I was really good. So I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer. That's what I was going to be. I was going to be the first person from my family that was going to go to university, and I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer, because they made good money, Sam, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to make good money, and that's that. The rest of us, working class. My granddad had done all right, like with having, you know, owning pubs and things like that, but I was going to be this first academic in the family. Anyway, what I thought was really like an all right home life wasn't really all that good. A bit shitty, to be honest, which I didn't realize as much. So I was never really happy. I didn't realize it. I was a typical teenage, rebellious, smoking weed, doing things like that. But I wasn't rebellious. I was like the politest child. I was polite. I was probably less polite than I think I was because I was a teenager. So, you know, saying hello is polite. But I was really well behaved, or I thought I was really well behaved, apart from getting stoned, whatever. Or I tried to be. And then I went off. And when I got to college, I had more interest in finding people like me. So that's what my interest was. There were these new people that weren't at my school, that there were these kids that I'd never met that liked skateboarding, and they had interest in certain sort of music, and there were people that actually had interest in films. Because I was from quite a small school, and I love all my school friends, but you know, there were, I mean, also back then, you got to think, even back in 2000 when I left school, like the alternative scene was very much picked on by the general population. It's not like it is today. Kids don't know how lucky they've got it, that if they are into Japanese fashion, click, 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 they can get some Japanese fashion, and click, 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 they can find some like-minded friends that like wearing anime gear, or what, you know what I mean? Or if you want to look like a steampunk or an urban, you can do it now. You can do it, find those people. And I was all about finding these people at college. So I was finding these people. So I was doing that, and I was doing law, and I was doing history, and I was doing theatre, media, and performing arts. And this was at my first college. But because I was so interested in finding friends, I never ended up at that. I ended up leaving that college. So there was a girl that I liked that went to another college. So for the next year, I applied for that college. But to be honest, it's because I still knew I had to do these things to become a doctor or a lawyer. But that girl's at that college, so I applied to that college. So I went to that college. But the same thing happened there. I just met all these new people again, and I met these new people again, and found more of these interests. I know I'm going away from the magic here, but there is there is a point to it. So I made all these new people, met them. Now, and here is a one thing in my magic career that really, really annoys me. At that first college and that second college, right? My friend Randolph and Pete, at the first college, I got there, and by this point, I'm an accomplished, I'm semi-accomplished close-up magician, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm decent with cards. I've got things down that other people haven't, or I've found a way to be. I've got entertaining with cards. I don't, you know. And they call me Gambit, right? That was at the first college. I'm Gambit. No, fuck it. I've got this new nickname. I've got these new friends, and I'm called Gambit. And I go off to the next college in Preston, and all these people from Preston, like all the people from Runshaw, the first college, we all went out in Preston, so everyone at Preston, they already knew me as Gambit. That's fantastic. But I ended up dropping out of that college, and I went to a third college, and I went to the third college because it was Blackburn College, and what I read about it is it looked more at the vocational aspects of performing arts and media. Like the college looked at more at vocational rather than the other two, Cardinal Newman and Runshaw, were about getting your grades so you could go to Oxford or whatever. But this was Blackburn College, and you've got working class, and then you've got Blackburn and Darwin, yeah? So this was a vocational one, like how can we find you any sort of job, basically is what that college was. And I went there, and again, I was doing that. And I did some tricks, making my new friends, and I was called Sam, and I did magic, and they called me Magic Sam, and I did not want to say, my friends called me Gambit. If I'd have done that, I could have kept hold of this cool nickname, but it was in a different town. And I thought they're going to think I'm a right twat if I say that. And I became Magic Sam. But if I'd have stuck, I know that at that point, if I'd have stuck and said, call me Gambit, at that third college, I would have said that to people forever in the future. And I would have been Gambit, which would have been a really good name for me. No, fucking Magic Sam. I'm Magic Sam, which isn't a bad thing, but it is. Because any magician that has magic first has the instant connotations of a kid's party, of which I know I'm not a kid's entertainer. I fucking won the competition, but I'm not a kid's entertainer. But so I went to the third college. At the third college, we're getting right to the end, second year, finishing up the A levels, doing the exam, like in the middle of the A level exams, right? Making applications for universities to go and do law. That's where I'd gone to. We were going towards law, and it was going to be more media law, yeah, sort of TV law, something like that, contract law. And my performing arts tutor came over to me, Nick, and he said, "Listen, Sam, you know." And at this point, I was having emotional troubles or whatever. And my tutor said, "Sam, go and be a magician." And I was like, "You what?" It was like, "That's what you love doing." And yeah, that's what I did. Like that day, I left the college and I was like, right, I'm going to be a magician. I'm going to find out.
And how old were you at this point?
18, 19.
And had you done many professional gigs? I mean, I know you'd become quite accomplished with cards and things like that, but had you
I didn't know there were gigs. I didn't have a fucking clue. I've done nothing.
So you left college to become a professional magician, but you didn't really have kind of a plan as to how you were going to make money as a magician. You were just like, hey, this sounds like a good idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, he told me. I even asked him. I said, how? I said to him, and I think he came over to me one day on Magic Corner, this tutor. But obviously, we're talking 20 years later. I'm quite certain it was him, and I think I said the perfect thing. His name was Nick Maynard, this tutor, and I think it was him with a beard and 20 years older who asked me how I got into, and I think this guy, he said, how did you work here? How did you become a magician working here? And I said, oh, this theatre tutor from Blackburn told me I could do it. And this guy had a little like wry smile on his face and just walks off before I could say anything else. And it makes me think, I think that was him. I think he popped by because he always told me to do. But this is the thing. I asked him, I was like, well, where is the work as a magician? And he said, you'll work it out. He was like, you work it out. You should maybe pop down to Covent Garden and have a look what goes there. I didn't go to Covent Garden for at least 6-7 years, until at least 6-7 years after that. No, 4 years after that. But what I did is, I was like, right, I need to make money out of it. When I said, I've never had any...
Still up north at this point, right? You haven't moved down south, so you're up north.
I'm still up north. The furthest I've not moved out of my hometown yet, not at all. But so what I did is I was like, I think me and my friend Matt Trabello, he played bongos. There's this weird thing in my life about I am not like namaste, you know what I mean? I'm not auras, I'm not anything. There's this weird thing in my life which I'll point out to you as I tell you the story. Me and my mate Matt, we loved getting stoned together, but he was somebody that I really found a kinship with. Yeah, I found something with him because he knew he had the same thing, that if you wanted to do something, if you keep going, like, you can do it. And he also knew, that he was also angry at the fact that there's, in everything, in a whole society, there are a load of shit people doing really well through privilege, yeah? nepotism. I never knew that word until like 10 years ago, but there's nepotism on going about. There's echo chambers where people say, this is good, and this is the standard that we should all aim for. So people aim for that start. We'll probably talk about this at some point in the magic community. Like there's fucking little echo chambers of, oh yeah, no, this person's really, oh yeah, so we'll all be like, yeah, and that is what a good no. And like, anyway, so we were like, oh, he was like, I can play bongos, and I was like, I can do card tricks. He was like, he said, let's go outside. Let's go. How did he approach me with it? We had a little fire. He said, right. He said, I've heard there's a rum at the Wetherspoons that's 68%. And I was like, right. And he was like, let's go and get a shot of that. And I said, well, we've no money. And he said, well, I've got a plan for this, Sam. He said, I'm going to go and play the bongos, and you do some card tricks until we've made the £2-3 that will get us a shot of rum. So I was like, all right then. I went and I was like, well, I need a little table. I need a little table. And honestly, I did always carry like a little case with, I think it had the cups in and stuff. But I need a little table. So we got 2 McDonald's boxes, and I put my jacket over it. So like the fry boxes were perfect height, perfect size, put my jacket over it. Matt had played the bongos on Preston High Street, Friday night, for people walking past. And people would come over to chat to him, and I'd be like, oh, do you want to see a card trick? And we set up, and it must have been 15 minutes, we made about £25. Because it was the first group. It was the first group that had stopped. And it was this group of fellas, and they'd only stopped because I don't always want what I want. They only stopped because as they walked past, this fella said, why are you dressed like that to me? And he's a big fella, you know, he's being a bully. And I turned around and I went, because I'm a magician, what's your fucking excuse? And all his mates laughed. And they were like, all right, then let's see a magic trick then. And they came over and I did a couple of card tricks. Matt sort of like, you know, Matt's really witty. So he was ripping them and doing this, and we're having a laugh. And, you know, we're just laughing between them. We made this 25 quid, and we're like, right. So this is, you know, this is a goer. We were thinking we might be there an hour, 2 hours before we made a penny. So we then went into the Wetherspoons. We'd done that, and we got drunk and talked about the possibilities, like how much could we make doing this? What could we do making this? So we were like, we drank in the Wetherspoons till Wetherspoons closed at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, the nightclub's closed soon. Let's go and do the nightclubs. So we went outside the Rock Club that night and we started doing it. And this was all in one night, and we made more money outside the Rock Club. And not only did we make more money, we got invited back to a house party. And at this house party were girls and booze and drugs, and they'd given us money. So we went back there and we enjoyed this party, and then we went back, and then I was like, right, we don't have to do anything. And then we're like, what do we do next? And we're like, there's more and bigger nightclubs in Manchester. Let's go to Manchester next week. So the next week we went to Manchester, and as we were doing it, this fella came over to us, who's a big entertainer now, who's doing very well as an entertainer now. What did we meet him in the club in Preston? Met him in Preston. No, we met him in Preston. He's called Marky J, and he's an amazing diabolist. And he's very Diablo.
Yeah.
And he wanted in on this little hustle we've got going. And we were like, yeah, join in. And we became the Bongo Magic Circus. And basically, I don't know how often we did it. We don't know how we did it. how often we did it, but it was this fun thing that we knew we could make some money as and when we wanted, and end up going to parties. But from doing that, what happened was we had club promoters. So the club promoters are leaving the clubs when the club's closing.
Yeah.
And they'd see us and they'd be like, you know, I started getting offers of, oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to come to the night? Do you want to come into the club?
Wow.
You know, do you want to come and do Walker? Do you want to come and do the card tricks in the club? And do you want to do that on the stage? Like, do you want to play the bongos on the stage along to the tracks? And do you want to do the Diablo? You know, so the club promoter started. So we're like, yeah, all right, then I suppose so. Well, you know, and I think we never said no to anything. But then that's where we started sort of going separate ways, you know, but we started getting, this all probably happened really fast. It definitely, because when I go back in my head now to where I ended up, yeah, it must have been fast. I mean, there's also the power of youth in this. And I think the fact that, you know, when you're young, and I didn't know that maybe I should be trying something else. I was saying yes, and I was off to clubs, and I was doing that. Maybe only getting paid 50 quid, like 50 quid to go and do the close-up for a couple of hours in the club. But I'm 19, 20. I want to be in the club. I want to be in the club. And I'm getting 50 quid. And I don't have to pay for drinking there. You know, so I can drink. And I'm getting 50 quid. And then before I knew it, I was doing 2 or 3 clubs. And then I started, like, I had friends that were in bands that were doing all right. And I got a phone call from one of my friends in the band. And he was like, look, so this record company that I'm working for, a Manchester record company, they wanted to know, like, could you introduce the bands for them? And I was like, yeah, all right, I'll come and introduce bands. So at the Night and Day in Manchester, which is a famous music venue, I suddenly became this monthly host of the night. Now, I always liked being on stage anyway. I did all the musicals and stuff at school. So I was like, right, yeah, I'll host these nights. And I did bits of magic with that. And then, yeah, through that slowly, and I've just had to learn all the way through, like it wasn't, I was doing all of those and I was doing things. And basically, I'd made all these connections that I didn't realize that still keep coming back being amazing connections, because all these people that I was hunting out that were like-minded people were like-minded people. So they've continued in the arts, in entertainments, in production and things like that through the years. So some have risen up through ranks in record companies, some have risen through that, some have, you know, some own bars and chains of bars and restaurants now. But all these people, they're all still there. They still, you know, they still get hold of me. They still get hold of me and can you do stuff? But, you know, now, yeah, so anyway, that went through. And then, so that's all sort of, let's say there's a blur at that point. There's a blur of what's going on. But I saw on Magic Week in 2006, about January 2006. Now this was a point where I was doing well on MySpace.
On when? 2006?
2006.
MySpace, man. Well,
I was doing well on MySpace at that point.
So this is how many years after leaving college and deciding to go full time?
3, 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute. 3, 4, 2000. So the first college failed. They were both within the first year. So that makes it 2001. second college, 2 years, 2003. So 3 years from leaving the second college, from the college that I did 2 years, 3 years, 2006. So shit, I was 22 by that point. No, I was doing well on MySpace. Mark will tell this a different way. Mark Bennett will tell this a different way. But I saw that they were auditioning for people at Magic Bar in Manchester. So I was like, well, I'm going to audition for this Magic Bar in Manchester. So I got my mate Sally to hold a camera. I was like, right, we're going to film for MySpace. For MySpace, we're going to film me going to this audition. So, because I used to go out and film, like at the same time, there was Dynamo in Leeds, and there was me in Manchester, and we were both going out and we'd film stuff. And we put our little things on MySpace, you know what I mean? And we'd be doing these little things. Anyway, I was like, Sally, you're going to film this shitty camcorder. And we filmed a little bus journey from the student halls in whatever the area is called now, Fallowfield, down to the Printworks. And I got to Printworks, and the Printworks is this big posh place, posh night out.
Yeah.
But after a few years of living in London and stuff, you start to change what's posh. Your perceptions of things change. You know what I mean? Like Manchester's not that massive city to me anymore. Anyway, so she filmed me and we walked to the Printworks, and then they wouldn't let her in. I wanted her to be able to film me waiting, right? But the whole idea was that Sally would be there with me, and this would make a really good impression on my audition. And I went in there, and there were about 4 or 5 other magicians sat waiting. I can't remember exactly who was in the waiting room, apart from one person, this really miserable lad was sat in there. Yeah?
Yeah.
It was Matthew Wright. He was right miserable, sat across from me. Right? He wasn't exactly miserable. He was being Matthew Wright. He was being cool. And they said, oh, can you come and do your audition now? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh shit. I've not brought my cards with me. So Matt lent me his deck of cards, and then I went into this room and I did my audition for Mark and Jeremy and them. And that was it. And Mark gave me the job. So then I was working there, and like in my thing, you know, obviously when I wrote my email to get it, I said I had a really big student following in Manchester. You know, I put some hyper bullshit in. I put some bullshit in, and Mark gave me the job there, and all of a sudden I was working in Manchester, and Mark let me stay in his flat. I'd never like rented a place or anything, and I was working there, and the wage was good. The wage was good. It was like 2-3 times what the average person was on. A lot of magicians didn't want to take it because obviously it wasn't a magician's wage. But if you do 20-30 hours a week, it suddenly turned out I was making 500 quid a week.
Not to be sniffed at. Doing
that, and then there were tips and things like that, and it was all. And there was beer, and then there was also the biggest nightclub in Manchester downstairs that I got free reign of, and then I moved in with the guy Tony, who I moved in with him, and from that point, you know, Matt Wright turned to me and he was like, so like I was going out and I was doing places like I'd do pubs, and I'd done a couple of weddings at this point. Yeah. You know, 3 people seeing me at the nightclubs. And Matt and Mark stood there one day, and I told them how much I charged. I think I said I charged like 150. They said double it, see what happens. Next person who phones you up, double it, see what happens.
Right.
And I'm not sure if I took the had the guts to do it for the next phone call, but a couple of phone calls down, that's what I did. I doubled it. You know, I said it was 300 quid to go and do this. and they said, yeah. And they treated me better when I got there. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, right. And then, yeah, and then that sort of went through. And unfortunately, Pure Magic Bar didn't last, but that was not anything to do with Pure Magic Bar. That was to do with the owners of the nightclub had given, you know, they given Mark the space. I'm not sure exactly what the deal was. I remember me and Mark being taken down into the office to be told that it was closing. I had a big cry. Mark went off to Bristol. I hadn't saved any of that good money I was making or anything, but a TV show came along called Let Me Entertain You on BBC Two.
I remember that. Yeah.
Which was a gong show where you had to last 3 minutes. And I also made very good friends with Andrew Birdwell while I worked at the bar, because we had a very similar sense of humour. In fact, no, we didn't have a similar sense of humour. I think Andy laughs at me, and I laugh at Andy's actual amazing sense of humour and joke writing ability and his characters and all of that. But and so the Pure Magic Bar closed, and Andy said to me, and I don't know if we were still at the Magic Bar at this point, but Andy said to me, do you think we could do a thing? Let's reverse it a bit. So I've been going, 2000 was my first Blackpool. And 5 years in, I was getting really jaded with Blackpool. I wasn't the magic. I was like those gala shows. I was loving it. Absolutely loving watching the gala shows. I loved the pomp and ceremony of the Sundays, everyone getting dressed up. You know, what Russ and Guy have done with the convention is they've moved it to a whole new level. And I don't know whether it's nostalgia or whatever, but you know, I sort of like the simple old school 1950s, you know, the pomp of it. Each gala show was an event. It was an event. There's this feeling that's gone from Blackpool, the feeling of it being an event to go to the gala show. Like, not that. Yeah, so everything was must see, everything must queue for this. Have to do it. I don't know why people complain now about the queuing. Because more people have got access to the internet. Forget that. People did complain. They just didn't have the internet to complain on.
Yeah, that's probably true, right?
Yeah, there was always lots of queuing. And when I first used to go to Blackpool, you could smoke in that dealer's hall.
Yeah, man. Wow. How times have changed, right?
Yeah, Eddie Gibson taking away his cigarettes, selling his coins, while Peter Diamond had a girl stood there for 12 hours a day, 3 days a week in a feather headdress. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember, man.
Yeah. So
I remember.
But no, what I was getting jaded with was, and I still get a bit pissed off about this, but you're fixing some of this. So you know, when you want recognition,
yeah,
you want people to know what you're doing, yeah. And at Blackpool, at that point, there was no opportunity for it. And you know, there's Mick Miller on the stage saying, so you know how they opened a sushi restaurant? It was these two Jews didn't want to buy an oven. Do you know what I mean? They're saying jokes like that still at that point. And I, you know, and it got to the point where we'd go in the gala show, we'd have some cans and we'd make sure we sit up at the back. And if the compo was no good, we'd be like the people from the Muppets. We'd let them know if the compo wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Compo was saying things that we thought were dated then. So God knows they never fly anymore. The best compere ever was that guy, Derek. Tony Scott's really good, but he was a guy called Derek from Canada with a kazoo. And that draws a line down, like,
Yeah.
people liked him or people hated him. But people liked him. He was the best compere ever. Anyway, so we're getting jaded because, you know, trying to get some recognition. Chris Cross one night did an impromptu competition in the hotel next door, I think in the Grosvenor, in next door to the Ruskin. Did an impromptu competition of me and Andy often went to the Frog and Bucket Comedy Night in Manchester, where they had Beat the Frog, where the audience could vote you off. So Andy said, do you reckon we could do a competition, but we'll call it Beat the Wand? We never meant to there was no intention of Beat the Wand having wanking connotations. That totally went past me and Andy. We didn't even think of that. But so Andy said to me, you know, because Andy gets like a giddy kid, he was like, you ask Derek. And I was like, right, I'll ask Derek, because I was never shy of asking for things. So I went to Derek and I said, can we do this thing? Can we do this competition where people get up and they get voted off? And he was like, is that it? And I was like, well, yeah, but there'll be some good people and they won't get voted off. And Derek was like, yeah, we'll try it out this year. We'll see how it goes.
Wow.
And that was 2007, I think. 2006 or 2007, we did Beat the Wand. And that's how long it's been going. Andy got sick of it. Andy stopped enjoying it. He didn't stop enjoying it. He did stop enjoying it. It's all very awkward because it can be a fucking nightmare. It can be a nightmare trying to remind the audience to be nice, but also trying to remind the audience that if somebody is shit, get them off. So we don't all have to suffer with it. Then you find, like, we go around the dealers hall, yeah? We go around the dealers hall and all the dealers are fucking fantastic and give us stuff to give to the competitors, yeah? And sometimes we have some extra bits left over, which we've got rid of now. We make sure that the winner just gets the whole fucking bag that's left after. Yeah, we're like, right, you know, you get the whole fucking bag. Because what we used to do is we'd be like, oh, well, we've got this left. Who wants this? Who wants this? And one year, when we first did that, PJ got pissed off because he was like, isn't that for the competitors? And then one year we didn't give away any of the extra things, and some people got pissed off. They were like, I thought you gave some stuff out. You know, everyone's always got something to own. And yeah, so that's how Beat the Wand came about. So we done Beat the Wand, and I did this show called Let Me Entertain You, which was a very similar show on BBC where you had to last 3 minutes without the audience voting you off. I got through to the grand final of that. I've got one video left from it. I can't get the other two. I did that, and that it did boost my career. It didn't boost my career. I wish. Well, that show got killed off. It got killed off very quickly in a very short and fucking, like, it got murdered. It got executed.
Why?
Because on the grand final of Let Me Entertain You, and its viewing figures were picking up, Simon Cowell launched Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? So everybody wanted to watch the new Simon Cowell thing, and he launched it at the same. It was a strategic move to kill off because Let Me Entertain You had obviously been recommissioned for a second season. So I was in the second season of it because it had enough viewing figures that BBC were like, yeah, this is good. And this was the second season, and third season they were going to move it to primetime BBC. Obviously, because BBC have the way that they need to work with programs, they have to check the viewing figures, they have to check audience polls, they have to do all of that before they move things from BBC 2 to BBC 1. Or this is how they used to do it much more. But so ITV were like, oh, this yeah, this is picking up. And they just basically then took new faces and went, boom, that's the end of that show. Anyway, what I'm saying is that picked up, that did give me a little boost in that I got some clients like Diageo, Smirnoff. They sort of knew me from the Magic Bar and also knew me. No, the only boost he gave me, if I had decent representation at that point, somebody that could have piggybacked, because this is before you could become YouTube famous or anything. YouTube was only just started at this point. And I should have kept with YouTube as well, but never mind. It's never too late for YouTube. Never too late for YouTube. I mean, I'm absolutely, my youngest, River, 5 years old, said the best things he could ever say to me the other day. This is how different the world is. He said to me, he was like, Daddy, and I was like, yeah, he was like, I want to be a YouTuber. And I was like, what doing? He said, I'm going to do games, I'm going to do pranks, I'm going to do everything. And I was like, that's the best thing I've ever heard, because I know how to set you up. And you've got time to build a following, so let's go with it. I'll do that for you. You want to be a YouTuber, I know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's great because because it's quality time spent with him making things.
Yeah.
So it might be digital, but I'm literally father, son, we're going to make stuff. And to make stuff, we're going to do a prank video, we're going to do an experiment, we're going to make elephant toothpaste or whatever. Brilliant. Let's go to the park and play with chemicals and film it, days out and film it. So it's fine. That's what we're going to do. Anyway, so then I started getting these gigs for like Smirnoff, I got a couple of gigs at the O2 just doing like the backstage.
But you're still up north at the moment, right? You're still based up north. You haven't moved down London yet.
No, oh right, at that point. I thought you meant right now. No, yeah, no, I'm still up north. In fact, I moved back to my hometown, Chorley. I'm back in Chorley. I'm living at my granddad's at this point. We're on 2007, 2008. Yeah, I'm living at my granddad's. I'm working at a lovely little thing. This Let Me Entertain You's has just been on. So that's quite big news. I got, the front page of the Telegraph and things like that. I've lost the newspaper clippings from that because my current wife didn't listen to me when I said that the shed leaks, and she put all my memories, all my newspaper clippings and old show posters in the shed. So very few of those things are left. But never mind. But what I did is from that, I was like, I asked how much it would be to get Chorley Little Theatre, because there's so much of it. I've done a lot.
Yeah.
I've got different hats. So I off the back of the TV thing, this is forget doing the London gigs, forget them. But I have started working in London at this point. I was about to get a residency, but we'll do that in a minute. What I did at this point is I was like, I want to put a show on in the theatre, Chorley Little Theatre. I'm going to see if I can sell that out.
And how about, before you tell me about this show, how much experience had you had doing stage magic at this point? Because I know that, now I consider you pretty much exclusively a stage performer, but a lot of what you're talking about up until this point is close-up magic and close-up. And even at Pure, although it's like a static bar that you're standing behind and it's presented as a show, it's still really close-up. You're saying that you're putting a show on at Chorley Little Theatre. Had you had much experience performing on stage, or is that something that you really wanted to kind of move into?
No, I had stage because, bear in mind all this whilst I was working at Pure, and before working at Pure, I didn't really say this, but the busking, you know, those shows had grown from what they were. They were still, in essence, the same thing. Me and my mate Matt, and we would still meet up and do it. But it got to the point where more people wanted to watch. So I was doing bigger things. This is, right, here's the crazy thing. So my Cups and Balls, I learned Cups and Balls from Mark Wilson's Complete Course in Magic. That was the only ever coaching, actual coaching, or only ever resource I've ever had on the Cups and Balls. Is Mark Wilson's Complete Course in Magic. Obviously, I've seen videos since, but I'll tell you the one thing that I've never done. I've never seen Gazzo's Cups and Balls DVD. I never saw Gazzo perform until about 5 years ago at Edinburgh. Never. A lot of, you know, so there's some lines that people will attribute to Gazzo that I'm like, well, they're just lines that not from Gazzo, that for some strange reason, when you've got those props in your hand, they're the sort of lines you want, you know. Why don't I count the cups? Why don't I count them in a different language? It makes sense. Why don't we count the cups? Why don't get the audience to count the cups with me? All those sort of things sort of come naturally. But yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, but somebody said, yeah, somebody had told me that my Cups and Balls was very similar to Gazzo's at one point, and I got quite annoyed about that, because I was like, I've never fucking seen this Gazzo that you're telling me, because this guy had said it. I nearly had a fight with him. He was one of my best mates. Nearly had a fight with him. This was at a music festival until somebody came over and was like, Sam, he's a Taekwondo expert. And I was like, all right, probably not. Anyway. But I was still good. I'd done street shows and they were getting bigger. At the same time, I'd also been hosting these nights. And from hosting the nights, people had asked me, you know, where I've been trying out the bits of stage magic and things like that. So doing the street shows that I tried to do bigger. And obviously, like I said, I'd always said yes. So I don't, like, if somebody said, could you do a show in front of the audience? I'd always said yes. I'd pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. But I'd also been doing the comedy nights around Manchester. So a good comedy promoter called Rob Riley, he had me on. No, it was Mick Barry. So Mick Barry and Rob Riley did this thing called, I think it was Mick Barry and Rob Riley did this thing called Space Cadets in Manchester, which was like a little open mic thing.
Okay.
Sort of comedy, and they liked to have a bit of variety in it. And I went and did that, and I picked a guy out of the audience to do smash and stab on, a trick that I'll never do anymore. But picked a guy, and it was called Andy, and he's from the Smiths. That was the guy that I picked out of the audience. So you know the band The Smiths? Is he called Andy Burnham or something? Anyway, the bassist from The Smiths. I think he's the bassist. That's who I picked to do smash and stab on. And Mick Ferry and Rob Riley found it hilarious because I didn't know who this guy was, you know, and I'd pick like Manchester Royalty, and wrist his hand. And Rob Riley then put me on at a few comedy nights, and a few different comedy promoters put me on at comedy nights. And, you know, it was just organic. It just built. So all this had sort of gone, because I was playing on, I had all the energy in the world as well. You know, I could party all night, smoking and drinking and whatever, and going to house parties and then be working the next day. And I was doing all that, so I was like, I'm going to do a show at the theatre then. I'm going to do Chorley Little Theatre. And I was like, well, but obviously I've never done like an hour and a half before. I definitely didn't have an hour and a half of material. So I was like, what can I do? What can I do to make this bigger? So, and I think this is where I quickly learned a lot, because I said, you know, I asked how much the theatre was going to be. That was the first thing I needed to know. So he told me how much the theatre would be, and then I was like, right, how much can I get for a ticket? I don't know. I was like, oh, I think I fucking undercharged, whatever it was. Or I didn't undercharge. And also I was kidding myself. I wasn't kidding myself. Anyway, I also asked this band if they could be on. There's a band that I'd seen on MySpace, and I said, do you want to come and do Chorley Little Theatre with me? And they said yes. And they said yes, because I'd seen them. I was like, these guys they're gonna do really well, this band. And they said yes. And this band are called the Lancashire Hot Pots. So if you don't know who they are, you don't know who they are. But if you do know who they are, they're big. They're a big band. They're a big novelty band. They're like a northern Wurzels, you know. And they had a song at that time that came out, and they were big on MySpace, a song called Oh No, He's Turned Emo, right? And then they got songs like Chippy T and Lancashire Superstar DJ and Shop Mobility Scooter. They got all the classics. And I put them on, but they exploded in the Northwest. They're from like Wigan and St Helens. They exploded at that point in the Northwest. And I booked these guys, and the theatre tickets sold. Oh my God, did they sell? They sold really, really fast, to the point that I said to this band, who at the point, I think now they probably want 5, 10, 20 grand for a Hot Pots gig. And I think I was going to pay them 200 quid to start with. This is to play a small town. And I said, would you mind doing 2 sets in one night? And they said no. And I went back to the theatre, and I said to the theatre, have we got the email addresses of all these people? And they were like, I've got the email addresses of 90% of the people that have bought tickets. So I went to the newspaper, and I said to the newspaper, can we put an article letting all the people know if they bought the tickets for the 7 o'clock show, they've now got a choice of watching an 8 o'clock show or a 5 o'clock show. So they get the first choice, and they've got a week to make that decision. And I changed the show into 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and I sold it out twice, right? So I was like, oh, that's fantastic. It was a big payday for me, but it wasn't a big payday. Because I was like, I want this show to look, I realized I've got a big stage. So I was like, I paid a friend to build me a bar.
To build you a bar?
Yeah, I wanted a bar on the stage, and I wanted it to have taps on it. And I wanted to be, and this wasn't to do with Al Murray. I was just trying to think of how to make it, how to dress this stage. So I sort of built a bar, and then I got and then I had an idea of, they had a big projection screen. So I went and filmed a pub from the corner of the ceiling of the pub. And I filmed this pub for an hour. And that's how long my bit was going to be. So I could project this pub into the background of the stage. And then, you know, I was in that pub for the hour. And at the end of the hour, obviously I walked forward and held it up to the camera.
It was very ambitious.
So I had that, and then I was like, but where am I going to have the band walking from? So I was like, I need a toilet. So I had to unbuild the door frame that was going to be the toilets, you know, so I could have this little joke of why is there so many people in the toilets? Why is there nobody in this area? And then I had some of the acts sit on the stage at a table, like they were having a drink. So I did that, and then I dressed the stage, and then I was like, oh, I want to have a fight with somebody. So I ordered a load of sugar bottles, and I was like, I want some explosions. I want some explosions to go off. So really quickly, I started learning where you could buy sugar bottles from, where you could buy stage maroons from, and things like that. And I was like, this is what I want. I want this in this show, because I'd sold all the tickets, and I was like, I can do, you know. So I spent like I spent more than half on extra production because I found out I could do it. But also in my head, I was like, wow, if you can do this, in my head, I was like, right, so you did that. So I phoned up while I was doing this. This is how ambitious and how fantastical I am. But I don't believe that things can't happen. You know, sometimes you just make mistakes on it. I phoned up Thingy. I phoned up the MEN Arena. And I was like, how much is it? And they were like, well, how much is what? I said, how much is it to rent the MEN? You know, no, because I've decided I'm going to fill it one day. I don't know when, but I will fill it. And I'm going to play the Royal Albert Hall. That's on my list. But yeah, at the time, it was 50p a seat for the MEN. And then you've got to pay your staff in and things like that. So it works out to hire the MEN for the night. It's about 20 grand. So if you can get 16,000 people in for the MEN, paying a tenner, you've made a good payday. So anyway, that's how I got into production and promotion. I enjoyed the whole process and the fact of how can I make things more? How can I make it more? Or how can I do that? And how can I do it on a budget and all of that? So the next thing that happened is I met a girl, I had a kid with this girl, and I was off working in London every weekend. So one of the people that used to work at Pure in Manchester, one of the club managers, had become the club manager of the Kensington Roof Gardens, which was an exclusive nightclub. And he phoned me up and he said, what would you want? Do you want to come and do this? Friday and Saturday night, come and do Kensington Roof Gardens. We want you to do an hour of the queue, walk up and down the queue, and an hour walking around the gardens doing close-up. I said, fine. And they paid me a good amount. Not huge, but it was far more than I could make in the small town I was in. It was like, I think it started off on 350 a night. So I was getting 700 quid to go down to London.
That's good even now.
Well, it is good now for a residency.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, I know a lot of guys that go out and midweek residencies, 150, 200 quid.
Yeah. So I was thrown into, right, and I got this residency at the Roof Gardens. Here's a funny thing. So I got this residency at the Roof Gardens. I got there and I could see, you could see that it's a money place. All the people are rich. All the guys have the same Christian Grey haircut that I could never make my hair do. You know what I mean? Like it's been cut in a magical way so it stays exactly coiffured in that way. I walked over to the first table in Kensington Roof Gardens, yeah? And I look round and there's a guy looking at me with these really deep, sort of sad, sort of lonely eyes, yeah? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I know that guy. I'm like, you're a magician, aren't you? And he was like, and he's got a big smile and his eyes lit up. And fucking Mark Spellman. My first table I go to is Mark Spellman. It's his birthday.
Holy shit.
You know, and this is 2009, you know, Mark Spellman's a good magician. And that's the first, and I just knew that Mark Spellman was a good magician. That's what I knew. So he was my first table and he was like, no, it's good, you know. I was like, brilliant, off I go. So I did that for a while.
So I want to ask you a few questions about you know, what you're doing moving forward. I know we briefly touched on it, but what you're doing the Edinburgh Fringe this year.
Yeah.
What did you decide to go and do that? It was because obviously of Machine Gun Kelly and but I mean it's risk. You know, it is a financial risk going up to Edinburgh. What are you wanting to get out of it? Because I tend to find that whenever anybody does Edinburgh, they want to get something out of it, and it's not normally money related. Sometimes it's social proof, sometimes it's to build up a reputation, sometimes it's to get representation or to get a big deal from. So what are you hoping to get out of
Yeah, so I've been up there and I've ballsed it up a couple of times. I've done it a couple of times. I didn't get great venues. I didn't do it the right way. So when I got sober, I was like, I'm going to do Edinburgh. I nearly did it last year, and I was like, no, not yet. You're not ready for it yet. Keep working on what you want to do. So last year's summer aim was to get the sponsors. That was it. And I got that. And then once I got the sponsors, I was like, right, so that makes a good end to a show. Now you need to make a good beginning and middle. What I want to get out of Edinburgh, there are a couple of things. One would be, so I want the show to be a complete package. And there might be a chance that a decent cruise line scout will come in and be like, that show is ready. Do you know what I mean? The audio is there, everything's there. We don't have to pay a consultant to make it ready for our cruise. That is a ready show for the theatre. And then I can skip a step.
Yeah.
And move on to the cruise ships and just basically move on to the bigger cruise ships and turn to my job and be like, thank you for that bit of time. No, I've got this. Because once you get onto the cruise ships, you have to be committed. You can't say no. You have to be like, can you do this cruise? Yep. So that's a different game. But I've been asking people that have done well and are doing well on cruises how to do it. You know, like Tom Crosby, Caden Abel, Paul DeBeck doesn't do cruises anymore because Paul DeBeck's on the fucking West End in New York and in Las Vegas now, and he's a street performer and an Edinburgh guy. Edinburgh did a lot for Paul, and Paul's work ethic has done a lot for Paul, and Paul's eye for what his package is, and his talent and charisma. He's a bastard, isn't he? He's got it all. But Paul's one of these, really quickly, Paul's one of these magicians that this is a good thing that he's done. And I fall into the trap. You want magicians to approve, yeah? It's a stupid thing. You want magicians to approve. Paul's never really bothered with that. He's just off doing it. And lots of the best magicians don't know them because they're not fucking bothered about magicians. They're off doing it. So I'm not too bothered about what the magicians want. I'm bothered about representation. So back when I lived in Manchester, there was an agent that asked me to come and do a gig. And I didn't do it. At the last minute, I didn't do it. I can't remember what it was. No, I didn't do it. It wasn't a great reason not to do it. I didn't do it. And that was 15 years ago. And he is the agent for Ben Hart, Boy with Tape on His Face, Tom Crosby, and everyone. It's Lee. So all these fantastic acts, he's a representation. And he's the person that I didn't bother doing a gig for years ago. So I want him to come and watch my show. Because we still talk, we're friends, we're friends. And I'm like, I do want him to represent me because I want somebody that can take what I've got now and basically take some of the workload off me. Yeah. That's what I want. Somebody that can be like, look, Sam, you've got this gig, go and do that. You've got the talent, go and do that. So I can stop looking for work, stop creating work, and maybe focus, and then I can focus on new stuff, new material, new things, So that's what I want, I think I want to get somebody that can take some of the workload off for me. Basically, that can get me the work with a better fee and then take half of that fee, and I'm still in the same position financially, but I'm doing less work. Somewhat along those lines. I don't know. That can get me into more places.
Yeah. Well, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Not having to do any of that means that you can focus on your show. You can get the show better. You can get the show bigger. You can get you can focus on what you love and what you're brilliant at, as opposed to spending all of your time getting work and not putting as much time into.
Then the other thing, actually, thinking about it, is it's not that I want. It's not about wanting recognition from magicians. But I do want. It's not the recognition. I've set myself a different target with this. There's going to be jokes in this. There's going to be laughter in this show, but it's not. This show is going to be more of a step towards serious than I've ever done. Rather than me being more of an entertainer, I'm going to add more of the. I'm going to add more of the storytelling or mood setting, and like there's going to be more. There's going to be what's the way to describe it? It's a step away from what I've normally been like, or what people would know me as. So yeah, maybe I want to prove to a point, like, look, actually, I am not what you think I am. Do you know what I mean? I'm not the magician that you're. Because everyone, like, people do say, "Oh, I've known you. I've seen you from Beat the Wand." So they think I'm that person. They think I'm that sort of entertainer. And it'd be nice for, some people who are putting magic things together to actually be like, actually, Sam is a good consideration for this, for them to know that. But to do that, I've had to write a show that steps me away, that makes me more of a serious magician.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of bullshit and silliness in it, but it's got a nice thing. It's got a nice balance through it, and hopefully the whole thing will flow. I don't know if I've not done it yet. I've not actually done it. I've done the show a million times up here. I've done it word for word in my head. Nothing's written down. Nothing is written down, but I've done the show in segments, apart from 2 bits on stage at least 10 times now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so I'm going to plug this. I'll plug this now. Pretty much everyone watching, well, not everyone. How many people watch this now, Craig?
Oh, I mean, we've got 16,000 plus subscribers, and the Talk Magic interviews are really popular. And then off the back of that, a couple of days after going on YouTube, it'll go up on the podcast, which I think is like the 7th most popular podcast in performing arts or something. So it's, a lot of people.
So on the 12th of May, that's when I want people to come and see it. That's when I need a good audience to come and see what I've put together.
Okay.
And basically rip it apart for me so that I can get it ready for Edinburgh. So I don't know how. It's at the Aeronaut in Acton, which is in West London. But I've actually got 2 shows on that night, because one of them is me producing me, but the other one is my Beautiful Magicians Club show, which is something. Now, this is a thing. When we talk about wanting recognition from magicians, I just wish more magicians would actually come to a Beautiful Magicians Club night, because they don't know what we've created. All the magicians that have worked it or that have been to it, they love it. Beautiful Magicians Club is every single magic night that you go to, every single independent run magic night is exactly the fucking same. Beautiful Magicians Club isn't. Beautiful Magicians Club is a party. There are magicians on, and then we've got burlesque dancers. So sometimes we've got freak shows and things like that. It is a cabaret show. which is heavier on magic. So our headline will pretty much always be a magician in a beautiful magician's club show. So headliners we've had before, and we've had a very good ability of spotting talent, we feel, before others have spotted it, like good talent. So who have we had for Beautiful Magicians Club over the years? So we've had Cain and Abel, we've had Paul Beck, we've had Tom Crosby, we've had Dee Christopher, we had Diobo, who's not with us anymore, Max Somerset. I can't think of others. We've had Ryland at a Beautiful Magicians Club Kids, and Jasper and Dan Rhodes. So we always have like a magician headliner, but it's not a magic night. Everyone comes, you sit, you take your seat, the show's over, everyone has a little that was lovely, wasn't it, and box off.
Yeah.
It is a club night, but it's not a club night, it's a show. You come for a show,
yeah,
but you stay after, actually have a party, and all the acts will stay, and we play some proper music, and we don't get there and get messy and watch the show. That's so beautiful. But the Beautiful Magicians Club show that we're putting on this year is called Battle Magic Cabaret, and basically this is what we're taking to Edinburgh. It's an open mic night with a competition. Now, to get stage time is hard. As a magician, it's hard because, you can go and do an open mic night in a pub and you can do a little bit there and stuff, and it's good and it does help.
Yeah.
We've got an open mic night and it's a really good stage, really good venue, but we're actually paying the acts to do it. We're paying the acts to do their new material. So we're taking a risk because we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know if they're going to be good or bad. We've just basically, all we want to know from them is what discipline it is. That's the only thing we know.
Yeah.
So are they a juggler? Are they a ventriloquist? Are they burlesque? Are they boylesque? Are they a drag act? That's all we need to know. And they can have that 10 minutes to do with as they want. And they're going to get paid 50 quid for it. But the fun part comes because they can gamble their fee against the rest of the acts that are on that night. So they can walk away with 50 quid, or there's 8 acts on there, they could gamble and potentially walk away with 400 quid for trying out some new material.
I love that.
Yeah, so there's all that, but that sounds what it is, but then when you put into it what else we have going on is, we've got ring girls to walk around, and the ring girls are also fire performers and things like that. So we've got ring girls, and a ring bell on those microphones that comes down. We play games. We play games with the audience. Like we got one really good game. It's called Tom Hard On. It's one of our games, and it's a big cardboard cutout of Tom Hardy with a big stick-on dildo stuck on it in the right place, and it's a game of hoopla. So we got stupid games that the audience come up and they can win T-shirts or drinks and things like that to spread through the night, and that's how we get the party vibe going. Or sometimes we'll have like an air guitar championships. It sounds more twee than it is, but it's about letting loose and having a go. So the nights are really good. We often obviously somehow I've got my friends from the music industry, and I don't know how I've got the friends I've got in the music industry, but sometimes we can get bands in that might actually be quite a big name, but we won't tell you that the bands are turning up. You know what I mean? We'll be like, yeah, well, we've got some live music at the end. So sometimes when we're lucky and when stars align, we can have that in. And then, every now and again, we'll get some celebrity faces popping by that we've met through the years and befriended, usually from the music industry. So it's a really good night. So on the 12th of May, the Aeronaut Acton. So you've got 16,000 people, and I think I sent out 4,000 invites today, and 11 people have reacted. So here's the thing. I've got. Is it insane to think that 6 months ago I was on stage in front of 20,000 people? But as a promoter, an independent small promoter, trying to help the image and the awareness of magic as an entertainment form, it's really hard sometimes to find 100 people to come and fucking support you doing that. That is really odd. Now, somebody did say to me the other day, and you know, it's an odd thing, the approval of magicians and things like that. Somebody said to me, why are you asking so many magicians to come to your show? He said, have you got something to prove to them? Right now, I have said that I do want magicians to come to this to see what we do with the Magic Night, because they will love it, especially if they like Beat the Wand. They will like this, because I'm the fucking guy that's made both of them. But the reason, when he said that to me, I sat and I thought about it for about 10 seconds. Why do I ask so many magicians if they want to come to a Magic Night? Do you want to know why I ask so many magicians, Craig?
Yes.
Because I've got a feeling that they might be fans of magic shows. That's the only fucking reason. They might. You're gonna ask magicians to come to a fucking magic show. So I don't know why magicians are reluctant to go to magic shows unless it's Darren Brown or Penn and Teller, because you know Penn and Teller have sold out 20,000 tickets, and I bet you every single magician in the country is trying to go to those, and we know that's a good show. And those tickets are up nearly 100 quid. Why not spend 10 quid and go and see a magic show of somebody that you don't know? Like I've started making that a thing at the like for the last, now that I've got a bit more income because I'm not spending it on booze, I've started making it into a thing that if somebody's got a night on, I'll either try and make it, or if I can, buy a ticket, even if I can't make it, just and let them know I try. Or the very least thing that I do, as much as I can when I'm aware of it, is press that share button.
Yeah.
Just press share. It takes a second. It takes a millisecond, and it's amazing what it can actually do. If 100 people does an event, you can have 1 million people seeing that event.
It makes a big difference. It makes a really, really big difference. Sharing, you know, if you have just a few people sharing a post, it opens it up to their group of people, and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah. I did have a friend say that once. They were like, but I don't live anywhere near you. I said, you don't. But I guarantee in your Facebook world, you have 10 people, 20, 30, 40, 50 that live in London.
Yeah.
So you press share.
Oh, just listening to this interview, I'm actually thinking about coming down and watching it myself, because I'm performing in Portsmouth on the Saturday. I was checking the calendar while we were speaking. I'm performing in Portsmouth, so I've got to go down that way anyway. So, you know.
Well, chuck somebody else in your car and then just leave them in London.
Yeah.
Like, find their own way home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I may regret trying to get loads of magicians down if I fuck the whole thing up, but I'm not going to. The Beautiful Magician Club. Anyway, you know when I said there was a weird thing that's run through my life, and it's been unintentional. Can you remember what me and my street former friends called ourselves at the beginning?
Yeah, Gambit.
No, not my name. The name of our little group that did outside nightclubs.
Oh, the guy with the Diablo and God, no.
It was the Bongo Magic Circus.
That's it, Bongo Magic Circus, yes.
So Bongo Magic Circus, Blackpool Magic Convention, Beautiful Magicians Club, and Battle Magic Cabaret, and the all BMC things.
Oh yes.
And but none of them have been intentional to become BMC. Well, I'm Blackpool Magic Convention is not my thing, but there's so many things. BMC. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to get run over by a BMW with a dodgy badge. I don't know.
That is really strange.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
there you go. So go.
I want to ask you one more question. If, and I knowing you as well as I do, especially listening to this interview and seeing how much you've achieved in your life and how much and what how much you've achieved in the last year and a half, I think that this is going to be a big success. If the Fringe is a big success, outside of anything else that you've got planned, is there anything left on your magical bucket list that you haven't done yet that you'd like to do?
There's a couple of things. I've got a couple of things that I want to do. Oh no, there is one. Because I've never been able to afford it or whatever, is like do a full couple of weeks in Vegas. Not performing, just Vegas. Go to Vegas and do Vegas. That's like a bucket list thing. See the Vegas shows, see that. Like I've never been able to see Copperfield and whatever, but go and see the Vegas shows. That's one thing. I would love to do a big stunt. I don't know what. I did have one the other year. I can't remember what it is now. And Beautiful Magicians Club, I would love to make. I can't say it too much. There's something else I want to do with it. Something much bigger than what it is.
Really? That sounds interesting.
I mean, it's something that I can work on this year, but unfortunately, to make it happen, first I would have to do a bit of convincing. I need to make Beautiful Magicians Club. Like we've always done it sporadically. So by doing this new open mic night, I'm hoping to make it much more of a regular thing to get the build up, to build it up better. Possibly give that a little. But do you know what? No, a tour. So if I do well, if I smash Edinburgh, I want to do a tour, an actual tour.
Okay, tour. Using that show, touring the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to do. I've been on and off, but possibly do Britain's Got Talent. But it depends what's the.
Well, Matt, it's not like the old days where you had Dave Allen, and then it is when they really kind of did a hatchet job on him. It's not like that anymore. At least I can tell you that from experience of seeing Ryland's journey. Every year they seem to really respect magic now.
I think, like we did talk. We had talks in the past about my ideas for it, but they're never the same each year because it depends what's going on in my life, what I think would work. Because I think I wouldn't, if I was to do well on there, it wouldn't necessarily be for the magic. I think I'd do well on there for me. That's what I'd go with. I've not got the shame. I'm getting too old to have the shame about, I wouldn't chuck a massive sob story in there.
Yeah.
But I would maybe be able to use that platform to address something that maybe then I'd be able to help people.
Yeah.
By just saying something, and that would. So basically just saying fuck the Tories in the middle of life. No, just just as my big reveal at the end.
Oh, that's funny.
No, just some way, but a tour would be good. A tour, if I do well at Edinburgh, do you know what? That's what I'd do. If I smash Edinburgh, I know exactly where all the money would go. The money would go on tour. You go on a tour and actual professional team not a team of people that could take over the actual grunt work of the promoting for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like the actual, I don't know, filling in the forms, writing out the things for each separate town and doing all of that. See if I could get a tour on. I would love to do a big magical stunt. I'll tell you one thing that I want to do. That I was going to try and do it this year, but I've not really got the following to do it. But, and this is just to see if it's possible, will be to do a live magic special, a 1 hour magic special with multiple cameras, and different effects on Facebook. So like a walk through the street of London, and it's a magical special. So all the effects, you know which effects you're going to do. You've got them. You've got teams of runners running ahead to grab people and be like, look, there's a guy coming. Can he show you a trick? And then the idea was I start in Leicester Square, and it's not much of a, starting Piccadilly Circus, it's not much of a walk. Over half an hour, I get to the pitch in Covent Garden.
Yeah.
And then do my street show. So I can stream all the way across, trick for them, walk out, do the street show. But that's not like a dream, that's a project. It's a team of people that would, to make that work and to make it seamless, because you'd need somebody working like an app controlled thing to cut all your cameras. You need somebody ahead, you need somebody having whatever you were going to do next prepped to be like, right. And
wow, yeah, the organization, the level of organization would be insane.
Yeah, so it's that. But the other thing, is, and the other thing with Beautiful Magicians Club is sort of a similar sort of vibe, but to get that going, I need to make Beautiful Magicians Club bigger, and then also find a team of people that are willing to put 3 or 4 nights in for nothing over a period of time just to see if it works. And then if it works, then take that evidence of what we've made to the right people for them to go, that's a thing.
I got to be honest with you. That would be. I was just trying to think. I've never seen anything like that before.
No, there's not, is there?
No.
I think if we're on the same page, there's not. But
no. I mean, I've been in some industry a long time, and I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah. But so yeah, I always want to keep busy with it. But I love putting shows on. And I don't know. But I've learned, this is the thing, from not having much, I've learned how to do the biggest show I can with the least amount of stuff possible. So my Edinburgh show, apart from the fact that I need a table to put some stuff on, literally is in one pocket. That's the whole show, is in this one pocket. The rest of the stuff is just my table to put the cards on and the other thing. But I do want to make a bigger show. I want them fucking lights. I really want in my show. You know them lights that they have on Britain's Got Talent that do this?
Oh.
I want some of them fucking blinding things. I don't know what I want them for, but I want that to happen in my show. I don't know, the sort of pay attention lights, aren't they? Like, pay attention. There you go. But yeah, I do want to go to Vegas. That is a magic bucket list thing. Oh no, I'll tell you. There's one more. There's one more that I said 20 years ago that I would get. And that's to be in the gala show at Blackpool. That is one. I want to be in the gala show. I've just got to do the right thing to get into the gala show. I've not been right for it. I've wanted to compare it for years. I'd love to compare it.
You'd make a great compare.
I would and I wouldn't, but I think I could have some fun. I think I could have some fun, but it's been proven again and again and again that at Blackpool, particularly, the best compers are not magicians. Like, just
Yeah.
it's got to be like the thing, like, and I'll tell you the reason. I'll tell you the reason that the best compers are not magicians at Blackpool. Because when a comper is a magician, although Joe Pasquale compared it really well that year. He did compare it once, didn't he?
I'm sure he did, yeah.
Like 2006, I think. It was just before he went big again. Because when a magician is comparing at Blackpool, 95% of the audience are thinking, I'd do that differently, instead of just enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas Max came out this year and he can't go, oh, well, I would have done that differently, because they can't fucking do ventriloquism. But oh my God, when he suckered us with the invisible deck, and he said, and reach in and take it out and look, it's me, Jackie D. Oh my God, that was the best sucker trick I've seen.
Yeah,
it had me on the floor. It was absolutely fantastic. It was. I love that.
Max is very special. He's a very.
I mean, I can show you here. A memory came up with me and Max the other day from photo, and pre-lockdown. I think it's about since 2017. I've been trying to get Max to come and do Beautiful Magicians Club. I've been trying, and now he's way out of our league because he is something else. He is he's going to be Vegas. He's going to be Vegas.
I'm surprised I haven't seen him on Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent or some sort of Got Talent.
There might be a reason, but I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking now this year with Mike Hammer being there and Jimmy and whatnot, the Vegas boys being in the audience to see Max compare, I'm thinking they're not going to go back and not say anything about Max to the bosses over there, are they? They're going to be like, there's this kid who's got some waxy or whatever they say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. What time are we on? Ooh.
We've gone on, but I'm telling you, this has been an incredible interview. This has been really, really good. Like I said to you at the beginning of the interview, Sam, I don't really know your whole story. I knew elements of it, and I knew obviously that you were recently sober, and I knew you'd gone through some dark times. I didn't know the whole story. Having listened to the whole story, I think the thing that I can sum this whole interview up with is inspiration. You know, I mean, I honestly think that anybody who listens to this is going to be super inspired and motivated, because it just shows what you can achieve. Look at your career. It's been ups and downs, but I think you're on a high point now, and just listening to the plans that you've got, and you want to do this and you want to do this, and I'd love to do Britain's Got Talent, and I want to go on tour, and I want to smash this, and I want to do that, and I want to headline or I want to go on the gala show at Blackpool. It's that sort of attitude. It's that sort of motivating, sort of ambitious attitude that makes people succeed. And I think that, I don't know, but from listening to you, I think it's what it's coming from is wanting to make up for lost time. Yeah. And yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. And I know that there's going to be people that are listening to this that are in a situation where they need to hear something like this. And this is probably one of the best interviews I've done on this channel. And your story is not finished. It's still being written. And I think that you're going to do big things. Having seen you perform, I've got a reputation around here of like saying exactly what I think. And having seen you perform on that show, I personally think that you're one of the most entertaining acts that I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And I mean that. And I wasn't even watching you a lot of the time. I was watching the audience, and every single person in that audience was literally on the edge of their seat, glued, just listening to every word that you said, and you had them eating out the palm of your hand. And that's not a skill that you can learn very easily. You've either got it or you haven't, and you've got it in spades. And I'm not surprised that during
I don't take compliments well, but thank you.
yeah, but you know also that I don't give them very often. So yeah, accept it, because like, you know, I understand why you were able to continue to do as well as you did over the 10 years, because you've just got natural talent. And now, you know, now that you kind of got this whole attitude of, hey, I'm making up for lost time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I can see big things ahead for you. I really can.
All right. Thank you, Craig. It was lovely. It was lovely chatting. Yeah.
And I've looked at my calendar. I don't think I've got anything on. As I say, I'm in Portsmouth on the Saturday, so I'm going to share the hell out of that, and I'm also going to come down and support you, because I think it's important to. And if anybody's listening to this and you're anywhere near, hell, I live in the Midlands and I'm coming down to support Sam. So you know, this show means a lot to him. It means a lot to him. You know, and it's what he's going to be doing in Edinburgh, and it helps having people in the audience. So if you live anywhere near the London area, go and support Sam, and go and get a ticket to the show. Tell all your friends, tell all your family, and go and watch the show, because I think that, one, it's going to be an amazing show. Two, I've never heard of anything like it in my entire time in magic. I think it'll be really cool. And three, you know, that's what we've got to do. We've got to support each other in this industry. And
yeah, they don't even have to buy me a drink after anymore.
Exactly. Well, just an orange juice, and that's not the cheapest chip. That's cool, man. Yeah, definitely. I want everyone to support you. Now, what is the Facebook page so they can share it? Where are they going to go? What's the link to go and show that they're interested, or they're going, or to get tickets? Or tell me where people need to go.
Oh, so it's go on Facebook /Beautiful Magicians Club, and it's on there. That's what, because I'm trying to keep it in one place rather than just split the two. Beautiful Magicians Club and the events there, and the venue is called the Aeronaut in Acton. And if you put the Aeronaut Acton Circus show and press video on your Google search, you'll see it's a fantastic venue as well. So
it's the one Ryland supported you at, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And that was in the daylight. So at night time, you can imagine it with all the woo. It's not got any of them though. It's just got woo.
Beautiful sound system as well. I mean, the sound system that it had in that place, and the lighting system was incredible.
Yeah, it's a really good cabaret venue. Stage, big top at the top of it. Yeah, so facebook.com/Beautiful Magicians Club. The event's on there. If I've done it right, the event is there. I can see it there. And then just all the details are there if you click on the event. For both shows, one ticket price. Both the shows less than the price of a normal ticket to a show anyway, just because we want to get people in to see it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
All right. Thank you very much, Craig. I'm going to
go. Thank you so much. I just want to say one more time, Sam, thank you so much for jumping on Magic TV. I want everybody that's watching this to leave a comment down below. Let Sam know what he thought of the interview. Tell him how inspirational it was, because it absolutely was. Make sure you follow the Beautiful Magicians Club on Facebook. Go and support the event. And I will be back again next week with another Talk Magic. But one more time, Sam, thank you so much.
1 second. I've got to show you this. It's my t-shirts, the Magic Sam's Glory Holes. It's a cereal that we're going to say.
That's amazing.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. See you later. Night. Thank you.
Okay, take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.